What's up, it's your boy Super Mario 1990 coming at you with a PlayStation Store shutdown reaction. This is not a belated April Fool's video. They really gonna shut them down. They gonna shut them down. The PlayStation Store for the PS3 and for the PSP and for the PlayStation Vita. All of those stores will be receiving shutdowns on those storefronts. The PS3 and PSP storefronts, they're gonna shut down on July 2nd of this year, 2021. And then the Vita, that one's not going to shut down until August 27th, 2021. So if you want to buy up anything digitally from those storefronts, you got to do it before then. But I mean, pretty much this day was always going to come. I still wasn't prepared for it. I was like, my heart sank when I saw that. I'm like, whoa, they shut them down? Oh man, come on. And so for me, what I was like really worried about, because I'm an old school, like, I'm a sentimental gamer. I love throwback gaming. I go back to classics pretty often. So the main thing I was worried about was, do I still have access to like re-download games that I've already bought, you know? And so Sony made sure to let people know that you still have access to your digital games, you can still play them, right? And I'm looking like, well, that's pretty obvious, but for stuff that you don't have on your system right now, because maybe you deleted it because you were just trying to save room, or you just never got to it yet. And they actually made sure that, yes, even though when the store shuts down, even after the store shuts down, you still have access to always go back and re-download or just download games. You can still do that. Games that you have already purchased and bought, you actually can still go back and download it. So I'm like, okay, cool, that's good. Because I'm like, yo, I gotta get all my PS3 stuff, and I gotta download every single thing. I gotta make sure I got room to keep everything. It's like, no, you don't have to do none of that. You can just keep it how it is, you know, get to it whenever you're ready to play it, whatever. You always have access to it, because when you buy something, it's already linked in your account too. Like, you can go back and check your purchases. Like with me, I started my account back in 2009. So if I scroll way down, my very first purchase of Resident Evil 2 PS1 Classic for my PS3, that'll be in there. So everything will be all good. So as long as your account is linked and everything, you always have that on file, everything that you purchased. So you can always go back and download it anytime. That's all good. So I was really happy to hear that. So that's all good. And now what was bad news, particularly for the Vita, because Sony and Vita, their relationship been a little, like, it was cute the first year. Like, Sony was like, yo, we got the Vita. She gonna hook y'all up with some nice new games. She a handheld. You can take her anywhere you want to go. And she got good games for you, right? And then Sony pimped Vita out for like the first year. And I guess Vita, you know, didn't make enough money. So Sony was like, you know what? Yeah, we done with that hoe. They stopped supporting Vita. You know, they stopped making games for it. You know, eventually it got discontinued. Their cards that the games came on, they got discontinued. It was really just digital only, you know, after a little while. So people were actually still making games for the Vita. Like, these indie companies were still making RPGs, I guess, for the Vita. And so these companies that were still making games or in the middle of production, they actually found out the same exact time as the general public found out that the Vita store was going to get shut down. And so to them, they're like, yo, like, Sony didn't give us a memo. Sony didn't sit down with us like, yo, like, you know, a year or two earlier. Because, I mean, let's keep it real. This move, you know, was like years or maybe a year in the making. It wasn't just something that happened when they announced it, you know. Because, like, when you think about it, the PS app was integrated for PS4 and PS5. And they took away all the PS3, PSP, PS Vita. They took away all the games, that whole library, all the games, the themes, DLCs, all of that. They took all of that off and just did strictly PS4, PS5, because PS4, PS5, that's gonna be supported pretty much till like the PlayStation 8 come out or whatever, you know. So it's like they took away all that stuff. So you knew a shutdown was gonna come soon. So Sony should have, whenever they made that decision, because that was long before just last week, announcing that, yo, we're shutting them down, they knew they were gonna do that. So it's like, you gotta get people together and be like, yeah, look, if y'all got anything that y'all wanna do for the Vita, anything that y'all wanna make, you might wanna get on that right now, because when 2021 come, probably about August or sometime, we shutting it down. We ain't selling nothing for that game. We not having no stores up, nothing. So if you got something you want to get it done now. And so since they only found out about it when the general public found out, some people had to cancel their games because they're like, okay, well the game is gonna come out maybe like later this year or maybe like early 2022, and they're like, well, we gotta shut it down because there's no way for us to sell it. You can't put it on the cards because those are discontinued. They don't manufacture those anymore. The store's gonna be down. We can't sell it on the store if the store ain't gonna be there. So it's like we gotta shut it down because we can't sell it. We can't give it to people. So they had to cancel production. That was just sad. And it's like, okay, you couldn't tell people this beforehand. And there's gonna be like, I think like there's gonna be like one game, I guess, gonna release like in April or May. And even for them it's bad because yeah, they get their game out there and that's good, but it's only gonna be up until August 27th. So they get like, 4 or 5 months to sell their game. And it's like, they probably as a company, whoever developed that game, they probably had profit margins, profit goals that they wanted to reach. And who knows if they're gonna reach those goals because the game's not going to be sold for a whole year. So who knows what their plans was for profit, because that might even get cut short. Their sales might not even peak, maybe. Who knows? So it's kind of like it just throws off business, and then it like messes with the hard work that people put into making these games. So it's kind of like Sony, that was a little foul. Like y'all could have handled that a lot better because people were still making games for the Vita, and y'all knew people was making games for the Vita. It's not like y'all didn't know or y'all wasn't aware of what's happening on y'all store. It's y'all store, y'all own it, y'all know the traffic, in and out. So like that was just rude. But that's what's going on with that. And for me, it's gonna be pretty sad. I mean, even though I'm more of a physical buyer, like if you can see right here, I got my collection, y'all. And that's like my PS3, PS4 collection. I got some PS2, PS1 stuff mixed in there. But yeah, I'm a physical collector. I try to always get a physical copy. But when I had my PS3, because that's the first PlayStation console that I had. I did Nintendo's and I had an Xbox. When I finally did PlayStation, it was PlayStation 3 and then it was PS4, PSP, and PS Vita. Those are like all the PlayStation systems and consoles that I have. And so with the PS3, I have the 80 gig that is backward compatible with PS1 and 2. So when I was buying old games for my system, I was getting them I was doing my best to get them from stores. Because when the new systems is new, you still got the older generation in the store, but it's a very small catalog. They try to keep it down because not everybody moved on, but this the new stuff. We're trying to push the new stuff, and then the old stuff. We got some for y'all, but only a handful. So it's like you go to Target, Best Buy, Walmart, you got a handful of PS2 games. If it was a PS2 game that I liked and wanted, I would get that, like Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, whatever. I would, buy that. I would just buy my PS2 games that I could physically in stores, and then for PS1 and other PS2 games that I didn't find in stores, I would go to Amazon. But Amazon's not always reasonable. Like sometimes you can find reasonable stuff on Amazon, and sometimes they'll take a game and be like, yeah, $180, and it's like, bro, back in the day when it came out, it was like $50. I'm not about to pay no $180 20 plus years later. Like, you out your mind, chill out. So, my option, was to go to the PS1 Classic store and be like, okay, well, they got this for $6 as opposed to buying it for $180. So it was always really good for that. Like, that's mainly what I did with the store on PlayStation Network, especially when I got my Vita. When I got my Vita, and the Vita, when they weren't making games for the Vita anymore, I was like, you know what, this is just going to be my throwback handheld. I'm going to play all my PS1 classics on here. Because the first game that I had was actually Resident Evil 2, because it was kind of like crossplay. I bought it for the PS3 back in 2009, but when I first got my Vita, I went to my store, and the store had it had Resident Evil 2. You can download this game. I'm like, oh, cool, I can play Resident Evil 2 on my Vita on the go. That's nice. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I just started just buying up all these classics, like the Siphon Filters, other Resident Evil games. I was buying the PSP stuff, Portable Ops, Peace Walker, Liberty City Stories, Vice City Stories, things like that. So pretty much my Vita collection consists of a bunch of PS1 and PSP classics. And thanks to that store, I was able to get them on there and play it on there. And I was playing them digitally. And so it's pretty much most of the purchases that I have from the PlayStation Network store, from PS3 and the Vita. Everything I had on PSP, everything I had was on the UMD disc. I didn't get anything digital from there. But I'm going to be pretty sad that it's gone. I'm actually going to visit the store again because there were games that I passed up on because I'm like, oh, well, it's not worth owning. Because game preservation is really difficult. It's not like other media. Like, if you want to watch an old movie, there are ways to do it. You have streaming platforms, you have discs you can buy, whether it's 4K, Blu-ray, DVD, whatever. Old music, you can get old music. You can find it, on one of the subscription services. You might can find a CD on some site. You might can get it in vinyl at a reasonable price, maybe. Like, you can always preserve, art and other media. But with video games, it's kind of like if it was made for a certain console at a certain time, it's probably pretty much gone, most likely. Some games get remakes, remasters for newer systems, but not everybody's getting that kind of love. And everybody has different tastes. So it's really hard, to, go back and play old titles if you don't still have old systems and those old games, and if they don't still work, it's really hard. So, for me, I'm really happy to hear that you can still re-download your stuff even after the store shuts down. So I'm actually gonna go back and maybe things like Medieval or something like that I passed on. Like, okay, well, since the store's gonna be shut down and never come back, I might as well get it. It's only $6, it's not gonna break the bank. So I might as well, do a little shopping spree, go back and get any game that I'm semi-interested in that I can play on my PS3 and PS Vita, just for, old time's sake. But yeah, that's what I'm going about it. And yeah, man, let me know how y'all feel, man. Is it a bummer to you? Was it a shock to you? Did you not see it coming? Your favorite memories, favorite things that you bought from the PlayStation Store. But yeah, man, it's your boy Super Mario 1990, and I'm out. Peace in.